The words hit the courtroom like a whip crack. There is no place for you here. Get your black ass out before I throw you out myself. Heads turned. Pens froze mid-stroke. Even the judge's brow furrowed. Yet he said nothing. Deputy Sheriff Carl Hensley, broad-shouldered, crew-cut, shoes polished to a mirror shine, loomed over the dark-skinned man in a crisp navy suit. The stranger, briefcase at his side, didn't flinch. His eyes were steady, unreadable. "Are you deaf?" Hensley barked, stepping closer. "Is this courtroom closed to the public?" the man asked calmly. "It's closed to your kind. You walk in here like you own the place. You're either a defendant or a damn agitator." Murmurs rippled. Clerks shifted uneasily. This was the South. Silence was safer than truth. The man placed his briefcase on the bench, adjusting his tie. "I am neither," he said, "but I am watching." "Not anymore." Hensley grabbed his arm and yanked him upright. Papers burst from the briefcase, scattering like startled birds. One sheet slid to the judge's bench. Still, the gavel stayed untouched. "This is your last warning," Hensley hissed. "Get out, or I'll throw you out." The man freed his arm with quiet finality. "You just put your hands on the wrong person." Hensley's jaw tightened. "Threatening me?" "No. Warning you." His voice was steel wrapped in velvet. Then, without haste, the man reached into his jacket. No one breathed. A black leather wallet unfolded in his hand. Inside, a gold badge gleamed. U.S. Department of Civil Justice. Senior Supervisory Council. Federal level. It was real. It was power. It changed everything. "I came to observe this court," he said evenly. "Now, every officer here is under review." He gathered his papers, the badge catching the light like a blade. The judge finally spoke. "If you had presented your credentials, if I had warned you," the man cut in, "that would have defeated the purpose." The gallery shifted uneasily. "You," he said to Hensley, "are under federal investigation for assaulting a government officer during lawful oversight." Hensley flushed deep red. The man's gaze moved to the bench. "And you, judge, just presided over blatant racial discrimination and chose silence until authority appeared in gold." From the back, a young black defense attorney rose, yellow legal pad in trembling hands. Their eyes met. She nodded. She had seen everything. The man? Clark pulled out his phone. "Executing Tier 2 oversight. Courtroom 6, Oakhaven County." A projector flared to life behind the judge. A flat voice announced, "These proceedings are now under federal oversight. All personnel remain in place." The screen lit with files, body cam clips, complaint logs, ignored reviews, all tied to Hensley. Allegations of racial profiling, fabricated testimony. A career collapsing in real time. "This wasn't about me," Clark told the gallery. "This was about whether this court enforces the law or only itself." A bold line stamped across the screen. Recommendation: immediate suspension of Deputy Carl Hensley pending federal charges. The judge sputtered, "This isn't proper protocol. You mean auditing an officer's record in the room where he just assaulted a federal official?" Clark's eyebrow lifted. "Or are you only comfortable with procedure when you're the one enforcing it?" "This is my courtroom." "Not today. Today it belongs to the truth." With a swipe, the screen changed again. Emails and memos appeared, naming officers and staff who had ignored or dismissed complaints. Gasps rippled. Some faces went pale. "Institutional abuse doesn't survive because of one man," Clark said, "but because of 100 others who let it slide." He pointed toward the back. "Officer Ramirez, you filed a sworn statement on Hensley's use of force. Internal Affairs buried it. You stayed silent. Why?" Ramirez froze, eyes darting to the judge. The room's air felt electric, ready to spark. Clark's phone vibrated. He glanced at the screen, his expression unreadable, then stepped toward the bench. "Judge," he said quietly, "there's something you should know. This audit, it's not limited to Hensley." The judge's face drained of color. "What do you mean?" Clark slid a folded document across the bench. "Tier 2 oversight means full institutional review, starting with you." The judge's lips parted, but no sound came. From the back, the young attorney spoke up, her voice clear despite the tremor in it. "Mr. Clark, does that mean—" He turned toward her, holding her gaze for a long moment. It means the silence in this room just became evidence. Somewhere outside, the faint wail of sirens began to grow louder. The sound seeped into the charged air of the courtroom. Officers shifted in their seats. One clerk stood abruptly, then sat down again. The projector screen flickered, and a new folder appeared, labeled simply, Sealed Records. Oak Haven Judiciary. Clark's eyes swept the room. "Let's see," he murmured, "how deep this goes." The first file began to open. The gavel's echo hadn't yet faded when Clark rose slowly from his seat, the weight of the room pressing on his chest. The gallery was frozen, reporters mid-scribble, court clerks halfway through closing their files. Maya stood at the defense table, her hands flat against the polished wood, staring at the jury foreman as if memorizing the words that had just saved her. Judge Halvorson cleared his throat, his voice strained. "The jury is dismissed." He didn't look at Clark. He didn't look at Maya. His eyes fixed on the door, but even from across the room, Clark saw the tremor in his jaw. As the jurors filed out, the first camera flash went off. Then another. The media had been warned to keep their distance, but the scent of a scandal this large was too intoxicating. "Mr. Clark," a voice called from the press bench, "do you think this verdict will change the department policies?" Clark didn't answer. He walked to Maya, and for a moment they just stood there. No victory smiles, no handshake, just a quiet recognition. This was survival, not triumph. That Maya's voice was barely above a whisper. "It's not over, is it?" "No," Clark said, glancing toward the hallway beyond the double doors. "It's just the opening act." The hallway was chaos. Microphones thrust forward, cameras crowding, voices overlapping. Was the judge biased? "Do you have evidence of other wrongful convictions? Will you file a civil suit?" Clark guided Maya through the crush, his arm lightly at her back. He could feel the temperature shift the moment they stepped outside. The courthouse steps were packed. Activists holding signs, news crews broadcasting live, uniformed officers keeping a wary perimeter. .1 banner read in bold red letters. "Guilty system, innocent people." Maya paused halfway down the steps, the late afternoon sun catching in her hair. She lifted her chin, scanning the crowd, and Clark saw something in her eyes: resolve. The kind that didn't come from winning a case, but from realizing that the fight had only just revealed itself. That a young reporter broke through the line. "Maya, do you believe the evidence was planted?" She didn't flinch. "I don't believe. I know." Her voice carried, steady and unshaken. "And I'm not the last person they'll try this with. But I intend to be the last they succeed with." The words hit the crowd like a spark to dry tinder. Applause, shouts, camera shutters, and rapid fire. Clark could see the headlines already forming. They reached the car, but Clark hesitated before opening the door. Across the street, leaning against a lamppost, was a man in a gray suit. Sunglasses hid his eyes, but his posture was too still, too deliberate. Clark knew that kind of stillness. Watching, measuring, deciding. "Friend of yours?" Maya asked. "Not yet," Clark muttered. The man gave the faintest nod before turning and melting into the crowd. As they drove away, the city blurred past. Billboards, neon signs, a radio tower silhouetted against the sky. The noise of the courthouse steps still rang in Clark's ears. Maya finally broke the silence. "You think they'll come after me again?" "I think," Clark said, "that you're a problem they can't solve quietly anymore." He glanced at her, a half-smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. "That's your advantage." In the rearview mirror, a black SUV changed lanes to follow them. Clark didn't mention it. Not yet. The courthouse was behind them, but the verdict still hung in the air, fragile and dangerous. Somewhere in the city, someone was already deciding what the next move would be. And Clark knew. This time, they'd be ready.